Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to solve one-step equations in case you may not know how to. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's get started. The main principle behind solving one-step equations has to do with you keeping balance and understanding what an inverse is. So when we keep balance, we need to make sure that whatever we do to one side of an equation, we also repeat to the other. That's what keeping balance is. The next thing is we solve these problems using inverse operations, which means we tend to do the opposite of whatever the problem has or whatever we see. So for example, if I see them adding, I'm going to subtract. We use the inverse. The inverse of addition is subtraction. The inverse of subtraction is addition. If I see an equation where I see some multiplying going on, that's going to drive an instinct in me to say, hey, I need to do the opposite of that, which is dividing. If I see them dividing, I'm going to want to multiply. And we'll get into what that means. There's basically just four things and four types of one-step equations that you can see, and we're going to go ahead and cover them all. So let's go ahead and let's just jump straight into examples. Here we go. So this very first one, we see problem A. It says y minus 8 equals 24. So the first thing I actually want to do here is, because I see subtraction, I want to do the opposite of subtraction, which would be addition, and I want to add whatever number they're subtracting. But again, because I need to keep balance, if they did it to one side, I would need to do it to the other side of the equation. So I'm actually going to add 8 to both sides of the equations. Now the reason why these are called one-step equations is because they can be solved after performing one step. So the one step was to add 8 to both sides, which would mean it cancels on the left, and I'm left with y equals 24 plus 8 is 32. That would be my final answer. Okay, let's look at this next one. On the next problem, I go ahead and I see x over 7 equals negative 9. Now some of you might have trouble remembering what this mathematical operation is going on here. And in case you forgot, fractions are actually division. This actually reads x divided by 7 equals negative 9. So because they're dividing by 7, I want to go ahead and multiply by 7. I would like to do this. Multiply by 7. But if I multiply by 7 on one side, I also have to multiply by 7 on the other. So multiplying a fraction by its denominator will actually cancel out its denominator. So that means those two cancel out and I'm left with x. Negative 9 times 7, that is just negative 63. Which again, took me one step to solve this problem, because it's a one-step equation. So here we have an example of what happens when we see a one-step equation where subtraction is what's going on in the problem. Example B was an example of what's happening when they're dividing. But when they're subtracting, we add. When they divide, we multiply. Now let's look at another one. Here, they're adding. So, if they're adding, that's going to tell me that I need to subtract whatever they're adding. So if they add 1.8, I'm going to subtract 1.8. And I'm going to go ahead and do that on both sides. Minus 1.8. Again, because that's how we keep balance. So the 1.8 will cancel out on the left side, leaving me with t. Now 4.2 minus 1.8 should leave you with 2.6. Or actually, sorry, 2.4. This would be your final answer. Okay, so this is an example of one where they were adding in the beginning, so I had to do the inverse of addition, which is subtraction. So I subtracted 1.8 from both sides, and again, just took one step, now it's solved. Now let's look at the next one. Again, here, fractions resemble dividing. And if they have, on this example, the variable seems to be on the other side, on the right side, which is okay. Nothing changes there. I see they are dividing j by 3, so I'm going to do the opposite of dividing by 3. I'm going to multiply. again, I'm going to multiply on both sides. Again, if you multiply a fraction by its denominator, it cancels out. Those two go away. I'm left with j on the right side. 3 times negative 8, that is nothing but negative 24. Leaving this to be my final answer. If you want to rewrite it, you want to put j equals negative 24, that's also okay. That's also correct. Let's look at one more. One that we haven't done. And this is an example of one where they're actually multiplying first. So here we have negative 4.8 equals negative 6v. Remember that if you see a number attached to a variable in front of it, if it's its coefficient, those two things are being multiplied together. So this is actually negative 6 times v. So the opposite of multiplying is to divide by negative 6. And again, to keep balance, I must divide both sides by negative 6. On the right hand side, these 6's would cancel and leave me with v. On the left hand side, I gotta remember that a negative divided by a negative is a positive. And also that 4.8 divided by 6 is just 0.8. And that's it for one-step equations. So hopefully this helps. Again, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to let me know, and hopefully I can get back to you soon. If you need to rewatch these and go over them again one more time, by all means, go ahead. Pause, play, go at your own pace. If nothing else, that's the end of this video, and I hope you guys watch two-step equations next. Until then, see you guys next time.